Oh, right then. That's my British accent. Anyway, I've been seeing or viewing some of these YouTube vids on people's camping setups and whatnot. So I'm going to give you mine. I started out. I bought a $300 tent made for hatchbacks like this one. It's a Honda Fit, and I ended up using it once, and it was so inconvenient. I just didn't bother again. And as you can see, I've been doing some car camping. Well, again, the Honda Fit, if you're not a super tall person, it's got plenty of room in the back with the seat up. I've got the seat up. I'm 5'7.5", and I can stretch out completely. And, a good night's sleep's what we all really look for. But anyway, so I got, I'm going to tell you how I've got this set up. Try to keep it relatively short. Just see if I get any, buddy watching it if they're interested. But my first time I slept in it, I went to visit a friend, and I got there early, very early in the morning, like 2 in the morning. I didn't want to wake him up, so I just slept in the back of the car. I think I had a blanket or something. And I thought, I could probably camp in this thing if I ever need to. And that was about 5 years ago. And about 3.5 years ago, I sold my house, and I thought, well, I'll do this house pet setting thing, which I've been doing as a sideline, I guess. But sometimes I'll have a day, 3 days, 6 days. The most so far has been 15 days between these gigs. And you got to stay somewhere when you're traveling, and I just got tired of motels. Not that I don't like the comfort, but I just felt, at 40, 50, 60, 70 bucks a night, it honestly wasn't worth the money. And some of those, you get down to the 40s and 50s, and some of those places can be not very pleasant, period. So I started saying, okay, I'll experiment with this car camping thing. I checked out a few YouTube vids, and I thought, okay, yeah, people are doing this. Initially, I just had the bed set up and all my junk over here. I'm a musician, so I do have a few things that take a little extra space. And but bottom line is, most of it I keep on one side, and when I travel, I take everything and I equal it out in the back. And my passenger seat is free, so I can go run around with someone. They riding shotgun or whatever. But in my vision, my line of vision is completely clear beyond the top of the back seats, not the headrest, but the back seats. So that's a safety thing. But yes, biggest hassle about all this is when I'm initially setting up my camp. If I'm taking my time, it's usually about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour 15. If I'm in a hurry, I can usually do it in about 30, 35 minutes, but have it, completely set up and ready to go for the evening. The best investment I've done with this has been a bug net, a 12 by 12 foot, which fits over the back of the hatchback, and lots of room and whatnot. And it's been really handy over the summer. No bug issues at all, none, which is what I was pretty much worried about. Colder weather, I've been down to 38 degrees, and I just closed the hatchback up. I got a little space heater, you can see it right there, dirt cheap. And I turn it on 5 minutes, 7 minutes, take the chill off, shut it off, I'm good for the night. That thing, the Honda Fit holds the temperature, and I don't have to bundle up. Now, get much below 35, I suspected I'd have to make a, heavier blanket or something. But in other words, I'm pretty comfortable. I put up some partition curtains, basically, with 2 little curtain rods, 97 cents for each of them. There were 2. And then a piece of denim I found at a Goodwill shop. I was able to make the curtain for the partition, and then the 2 you'll see on the side windows, if you can see it, there's 2. There's a front window and a back window curtain, which, I've got tinted windows, but still something about, the idea of someone, Jason from the movies, yeah, scoping you out, right? But anyway, I've got plenty of room. I'd say it's about just over 2 feet across, and I'm a tosser and a turner, so I'm not hit anything in the middle of the night and hurt myself, so that's a good thing. The board set up here, I got thinking one day, I need a little more room. I've got a couple crates there, that's for stuff so I can get at it easy at night. And then the boards here, all in all, I bought three 3/4 inch pine boards. This one holds the side stuff and it blocks off that one side from vision and whatnot. And then this little backboard here, I wanted a way to read my computer or watch a movie or whatever. I like to read a lot of articles, and I just prop that thing up here at night or turn it around during the daytime toward me, and I can I write standing up. I'm a writer, and so it's really easy. It's very handy, and when I travel, I take a bungee and I just strap right where that little monitor is. I just strap the computer to it. Never worry about it flying around. Okay, hatchback's open. Let's see here. Oops. And this what I bought some tarps in this little frame here. It's 4x6. Dirt cheap. It was, I think they run them at Walmart for $50 in tax. Mine was on sale for $19.99 plus tax, and I've used it just over 20 times, and it's still functioning fine. I'm not saying it couldn't break down, but hadn't yet. It's got a little tarp top. It's mostly shade. It's slightly water resistance, but I wouldn't trust it in the rain. But I bought a big 12x10 waterproof tarp for the top, and I've placed that over it. I've been in some basically monsoon rain since I've been camping out. Not every night, but I'm saying maybe on a third of the nights I've been camping on the last 2 years have been rainy nights. And one night it literally monsooned. I mean, just downpoured for over 5 hours, and no leaks. The side tarps, which I'll show you on the outside, those are great because it keeps the water from splashing up on the sides. I have about, let's see, 6 by 7.5 feet space back here in my little office. I'm a pacer, so I tend to walk back and forth between sentences when I'm writing. The sides, great. You know, I hang stuff up. I use these little water ballast jugs, dirt cheap once you empty them out, and I bungee them for a little bit of weight to keep the thing down during wind. My tent has blown over one time, and it just went on the side. Again, hey, if it might have been 15, 17 mile an hour wind, so I doubt if the thing would be great in 20, 25 mile an hour winds or more. But that's when you tear it down or lay it down and jump in the back of the fit and close the door if you need to. Common sense rules when you're traveling. Here's my little computer setup, a little $5 stand. Got 2 of those, one over here, covered with junk. Little LED light, $6. Little clock, I think that was about 4. And these things I picked up over time. There's my little fan, believe it or not, 2-speed, but that thing will crank out. I've only had 2 nights in the 2 summers that I've actually done some outdoor stuff in which I was sweaty and kind of hot, and even by the morning I had to throw a blanket on because it was cool enough. So that's kind of cool. Got a little cooler which I'll use for whatever. Got a spare tarp if I need it. Shower shoes if you're at campgrounds, just take my word for it. Don't want to pick up anything you can't get rid of. Little travel kit, blah blah. Got the bar stool. Like I said, I'm a musician. I like to sit on that stool and play guitar that way. Little seat where I will sit and read. Like I said, I write standing up. It's just easier. I don't know why. I picked it up about 15, 20 years ago, and it just works. I got a little antenna. I think it was $30, and I hooked it up. And depending on the site, where how off the beaten path. I think the least I've ever had is 4 channels if I need it. And there's usually always a local station for weather. And if you do like football, you can usually get some high school football or major league NFL games somewhere. So, and this particular place is Panther Creek State Park in Tennessee, East Tennessee. And I must have 15 stations on this. So the television was rehab, got it off Amazon, relatively inexpensive. Oh, she's pretty. Huh. Anyway, got preoccupied there. That stand there was a little more expensive. It was almost 15, but it's different levels. I put it at different levels. It's very stable. I put 2 boards, again from the 3 boards. I just cut everything down at Lowe's, and you know, contains this, that, and the other thing there. Let's see. So you get a general idea. This is the inside. I hope I'm not. I use these little bungees for hanging things, and then these little tent clips. They're very handy. I have a total of 24 of them. I don't use them all, but you know, sometimes things break down. Give you an idea. Okay. Now, again, I'm not sure how much you know, how cold I'd be able to put up, but like I said, I haven't had any issues yet. And I'm not a particularly Spartan fellow when it comes to cold. I like my comfort just as well as anybody. Heat's probably more of an issue, really, although I don't mind the heat either. And I've stayed at 3 Tennessee state parks in the last 2 years, and 2 of them have some really great hiking trails. So if you enjoy hiking, be careful on some of them. Obviously some are pretty strenuous, and I've got kind of a bum knee, so I have to pop a little aspirin now and then. It hurts, but you can see it's kind of a little nomad tent there, or might even look like a bathroom, I don't know, and I don't care. But anyway, I usually like to buy a flower or 2 locally if I'm somewhere a few days, and you know, kind of be neighborly, keep the neighborhood up. But anyway, you see, little Honda Fit. Now, most of the campgrounds, you can go primitive, but like I said, I like my comfort. The potable water right there, very handy. At least, most of them have at least 2 circuits on their hookups, and you can go 110, 220, whatever, because they handle some pretty big rigs here. This, I'm just giving you kind of an outside view here. I got the little window thing, so it's kind of a double situation as far as privacy, which again, privacy is important to everybody, but I'll give you an idea. Hopefully I'm not bouncing this too much. I've had several people stop me and say, wow, it's a cool setup, man. How, you know, how'd you go about figuring all that stuff out? Well, again, it's all just hit and miss. But I do have all the comforts that most people need except AC. I guess I could, you know, buy a little, you know, the small ACs they've got and stick it on a solid stand in the back and just create a little cubby for it with an extra tarp. But you know what? I haven't had to yet. So if I were staying down in St. Augustine Shores or St. Augustine Beach, Anastasia Island State Park or something, yeah, I'd probably seriously think of it. Or, of course, condensation might be an issue. That said, I think everyone gets a general idea. Now, bathroom and all that stuff, hey, all the state parks got your generic stuff. There's mine, but you know, most of them are pretty well kept up. I would say one thing that surprised me when I first started doing this was most of the bathrooms I've encountered were cleaner than some of the motels I've stayed at. Not all, don't get me wrong, but yeah, more or less pretty clean. This is a pretty park, believe it or not. It's just really, I've only run into one person since I've been on the road doing this, about, like I said, about 2.5 years now. one person that gave me that, that thing in your gut where you go, watch this one. And it proved to be fairly true. They didn't steal anything, but they kind of did me wrong with, they asked me to watch their dog, and they ended up disappearing for, they asked me to watch your dog for 45 minutes. They were gone for just under 6 hours. So at that point, I went down to the ranger station with the dog and said, hey, I don't know, maybe these folks abandoned their dog. And then they walked in just then. And anyway, long story short, dog is fine, but I didn't trust that person anymore, that's for sure. Sweet dog though, but very neurotic, very, would bark at anything that walked by. But anyway, you get the idea. So hopefully you might see something or get an idea or two if you're looking up there in the hatchback. Those are all magnets. Magnets are your friends, as are, oh, these little cheap $1 at Walmart. They're little LED lamps that you can put on your head. Now there are more expensive ones, but you can't go wrong with them. They're just really handy. So I'm signing out, and hope you enjoyed the little video. And if you didn't enjoy it, you should have shut it off 7.5 minutes ago. Dummy. Bye.